Biosecurity is a top priority for the Port of Tauranga. This has led to initiatives such as the Biosecurity Excellence Working Group with MPI and kiwifruit vine health. In 2017, the company won an award recognising the effectiveness and awareness not only among biosecurity staff in Tauranga but all employees of the port.
From a port perspective, we're New Zealand's largest and busiest port. In terms of volume, just a little over 22 million tonnes a year. From an import perspective, that's around 8 million tonnes a year of imports, with key commodities being agricultural, grain and feed supplements, along with fertiliser, cement, vehicles and the like. We have around just over 80 cruise calls per year. That is increasing with increase in tourism, expected to be over 100 next year and continuing to grow. So it is an increased focus. In conjunction with MPI, there's been increased levels of passenger screening and sniffer dogs introduced to the port. In a practical sense, lifting awareness is through the port community, the likes of the databases. We're able to engage all of the port community through alerts, flyers, increased awareness. From a community perspective, we've got an in-school education program as well as Biosecurity Open Day for the port. Following obviously the PSA incursion, there was the establishment of kiwifruit vine health. In conjunction with kiwifruit vine health and the port and MPI, we established a biosecurity working group. The primary focus has been imports in terms of unwanted pests or diseases, but obviously the implications in terms of export commodities being 80% of what goes through the port are significant. So potential incursion or disease into the kiwifruit industry, or obviously dairy or forestry, could have significant impacts to the port. The whole journey with biosecurity excellence has actually brought us much closer to MPI, and I think as a shared community we've had a much closer working relationship. It's been particularly pleasing in terms of some of the feedback we've received via MPI that from a national perspective we're 8 times more likely than the national average to have a potential pest reported through the port. Again, this is data that's been provided from MPI themselves, just in terms of outlining the success of the initiative. So for us that has been a key aspect of closing the loop. Any potential threat would have a significant impact not only to the port but also to the wider regional and national economy.
There's a lot of containers come through this port. Depending on where the containers are from, there's different risks associated with them. Certain parts of the world can be risk of the invasive exotic ants that we don't have here. So we just popped over to see the guys from Assure Quality pick up the ant traps this afternoon. So part of the national invasive ant surveillance, this is done every year, and both at this side of the wharf and the other side. So locally we're pretty keen to see what they're finding in the various areas. It just sort of adds some extra information on top of the regular wharf surveillance that our quarantine officers do here. The follow-on from that is that if they do come across some sort of serious exotic ones, they'll do another delimiting survey where they just pull in the area a little bit tighter and the ants are eradicated as well. In this environment, we're the regulator. One of the primary things that we do is ensure that the port is approved and the facilities in place so that biosecurity risk is managed. So part of what we do is the annual port of first arrival audits, and we're auditing the facilities that are on the wharf, ensuring that they've got all the things in place to manage biosecurity risk. As well as that, we undertake a lot of inspection work here. When I moved up here about 4 years ago from Canterbury, the port environment was quite new to me, and one of the things that really stood out that was how ingrained and business as usual the whole importance around health and safety was on the port. Really good systems in place and everybody buying into those. So in my mind, if biosecurity could be treated with the same priority as the health and safety on the port, we'd be really onto a winner, rather than just the regulator sort of waving the stick. It becomes about the people on the port voluntarily being involved in biosecurity. The response from workers here has been pretty good. We get a lot of calls about things which aren't necessarily pests that would be a biosecurity risk, but that's exactly what we want. We want people to report on anything that's a little bit unusual. Our job here is to make sure an incursion doesn't happen in the port of Tauranga, so it's probably a good story that we're not talking about an incursion that we have here. So if we find something here, it's not an incursion, it's captured in a biosecurity control area, so that's what our business here is really all about. Really, we want to keep building on what we've got into place already, and it does become more powerful each year when we repeat it. A wee bit like some of the kind of like thank you and awareness sausage sizzles that we hold on the wharf.
There's some spider webs down here. They'll need to be vacuumed out, they're unmaintained, so there don't need to be a live spider in here.
We've also got scientists involved now, and we're really looking at getting together some sentinel gardens. The idea of having the sentinel garden is we'll put some plants there that certain bugs may be attracted to, and we'll keep an eye on them. So therefore, if anything does land on the port, we'll find it at the first place that it goes to. We're always looking for really high calibre quarantine officers, so if there is somebody at home watching this and they like the idea of protecting New Zealand at the border, look on our website. We'd be really keen to talk to you. I really wanted to show you this calendar. This is the third year that we have made this. It's really successful, and the concept came from meeting with our GIA partners as well as the port. So this calendar just assists people in the transport facilities, both on the port and in the region, just an aid for identifying bugs that we're really interested in them reporting on. All part of the plan to ultimately have 4.7 million New Zealanders interested in biosecurity.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.